everybody, Christine here with the Co-Living Code. This week's show, I actually have Jeremiah Adler. He is with Upstart and all their locations are actually in the Hollywood area here in Los Angeles, California. They've got 5 locations and they are rapidly growing. He has 302 beds total. So it's a lot of residents and guests, which we're definitely going to launch into that. We were kind of talking before we started the interview, and you know, it's fun to know all your guests and residents, but then as you grow and grow, right, it's going to be harder to be able to personally have, you know, relationships and meet each and every person that comes into these homes, especially when you have 5 you're renting. So let's go ahead and start there. You know, let everybody hear, the listeners, everybody's viewing this video, how you got started, when you guys got started, and what, you know, how you came up with the idea for Upstart.
Yeah, so I moved to Los Angeles in 2009, you know, thinking I would be a famous writer and director. And, you know, I had medium level of success. I did 3 pilots in 3 years, but my heart just really wasn't in it. But I had deep roots in the creative community and, you know, had that experience of moving to Los Angeles, not knowing anybody. You know, I found it to be a pretty, you know, big, lonely city. You know, so actor friends that I knew, you know, it's sort of a cliche to say that you know, rented a closet when you moved to Los Angeles, but literally I had a friend who was paying $600 a month to rent the closet in a studio apartment, not even an empty closet. He put an army cot at the floor of the closet, and his roommate's clothes were about 6 inches above his nose when he slept. And so there was a serious, you know, there's you know, a loneliness problem in Los Angeles. There's a housing crisis in Los Angeles. And, you know, I got into real estate the next couple years, but found that to be very creatively unfulfilling. And then the idea sort of sparked, you know, what if you could create a low-cost housing model where you really heavily curate the people who live there. And so when we started, you know, we got this, you know, big old building, and, you know, for as far as amenities went, you know, we had, you know, pool tables and TVs and stuff like that, but it wasn't super artist specific, which we've grown into. But sort of the one unique thing that we did was we heavily curated the group of people that we invited to live there. So instead of an apartment application, it looked more like a college application where, you know, with 3 pages of essay style questions, you know, what are your 3, 6, 12-month career goals? You know, what does community mean to you? You know, what does success in your field look like to you? And then, you know, once we read these applications, we would invite the people in for an interview. And then finally we'd, you know, do a deep dive through their social media. And, you know, little things, you know, if someone was flipping out the camera off all the time, or, you know, every single picture, you know, they were, you know, drinking or smoking weed, you know, not that our people don't like to have fun, but, you know, just looking for little, you know, tells for, you know, the type of people that would, you know, be really good in a harmonious, you know, creative community. And, you know, so people moved in, and it was really exciting. It was like the first week of summer camp, or the first day of, you know, middle school. It had that exciting vibe, and, you know, there's all these young people that are excited to meet each other, and these cool conversations are happening that, oh my God, you know, you're a writer, I'm a filmmaker, do you have any scripts? I've been wanting to have this idea for a short film. And then, you know, the musician pipes up, oh my God, I can totally write the music for your guys' thing. And so, you know, completely organically, all of this, you know, creativity started to happen. And so then, you know, we said, well, you know, how could we make this experience even better? And, you know, I always been into rock climbing as a kid. And so I had all this rock climbing equipment. And so, you know, we had 30 people living in this house. And, you know, I just went over one day and said, you know, hey guys, who wants to go canyoneering? And so, you know, we took everyone up, and had people rappelling off of 90-foot cliffs and waterfalls. And that was the first upstart activity that we ever did. And then we said, what else would be cool? Well, what if I always like to go sailing. What if we rented a giant sailboat and, we took everyone sailing, and it's just free and it's included in your rent. And so, sort of partly just through boredom and excitement, we have this house full of people, and, just started taking them to do cool, fun things. And then when it came time to open the second location, we noticed, the original idea, I put, big TVs in the first location, and, like I said, pool tables and foosball tables and all this stuff that wasn't really getting used. And so, we asked the members, what is it that you would like? And, what do you use most? And, we had a fast computer in there with, music recording software. And they said, well, we love the software. It'd be really cool if we had a studio. It's like, done. So we built a recording studio in the next place. And that was the idea. Just you move in, you pay your rent, and now what would cost you, $75, $100 an hour. Now that's just included in your rent. And, as we've grown, the latest location, we have a photo studio, recording studio, self-tape room, movie theater, stage. We have microphones, cameras that you can use, basically everything you would want as an artist, to help you accelerate your career and save money. And so here we are today.
I love it. And Jeremiah, do you mind giving the timeline? I would love to hear, even myself included, the timeline of like when you moved to Hollywood. When did you move to LA? And then when did you guys open the first location?
Yeah, so I moved to LA in 2009, wrote and directed TV pilots for 3 years. Then I started a property management company for about 2.5, 3 years. And then August 1st, 2016, we opened our first location. And, I think about 6 months after that, opened our second. And then, every sort of few months after that, we've been opening another and another. And, now we're still, our goal is to reach 1,000 members in Los Angeles. But, we're also trying to strategize and come up with a plan for going to other cities. And, the big picture, what we want to do is empower young people to move to any city in the world with just $1,000 in their pocket. We're the only institutional housing I know of that you don't need to have a credit score, a job, or a savings account. We don't look at your financials or economics at all. We look at who you are as a person. We look at your portfolio. If you're an actor, we say send us your reel. A comedian, send us tape of you on stage. A musician, send us your SoundCloud. And so, people find it hard to believe. If you're moving here from Michigan, you're a little scared. You're nervous. You're not sure if you're going to like these people. But you just got to come check it out, or trust me when I say the group of people that we let in is so well curated. Everyone who arrives here chasing their dream, like just seeing the stress, their demeanor changes. It's like, oh, these are totally these are exactly the types of people you want to be friends with when you're 22 years old. Moving to Los Angeles, trying to start your career in a creative industry.
I love, love, love that. And especially, we talked maybe a month ago, and what's cool about this interview was it was an actual resident, Kat, she's, YouTube star. And she just reached out and said, I live at a co-living home in, Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And she chatted with me first. So I got to talk to one of your, residents first, which is really cool. And she loves the experience, loves it so much. And so that's how I got connected to you, which is great and exciting to really see that firsthand of how much they love being part and being around like-minded people and being around, same with entrepreneurs. And I always say that. I always say artists, musicians, like that's such an amazing environment for them to live together, because again, they're all, they're going through all of the fun parts and the bad parts and the auditions and the hearing no, and then they can relate, which I'm sure, and just with what they're going through, which I'm sure in a living environment, that's pretty cool. And can they jump from can they switch houses if they want to switch houses? Because you guys are so close together.
People do all the time, because the amenities are different at each house. But, if you live at a house with a, photo studio, you can go over to the house with a recording studio and, just book time. People sort of freely travel between everything like that. But, I think you hit the nail on the head. The people that move into our properties, they're literally pursuing careers in the most competitive industry in the entire world. It's easier to be, a Navy SEAL, an NFL player. So, being successful in the entertainment industry is extraordinarily difficult. I know from experience, just the emotional roller coaster of, you think, you go into a pitch meeting and you think it went great and you're waiting by the phone, and then, you hear, oh, they loved you, but it's just not right. And then you're crushed. And, what I really missed moving to LA, nine-ish years ago was, having that community of support around that to, help you with the, the ups and the downs. And, you can crowdsource, the information so you can help strategize your own career with other people. But, I think it's incredibly helpful to be around a bunch of other people that understand, because, your parents back home in Michigan, they don't really understand what you're going through trying to make it in this industry. So, as much as we can, build a supportive environment and community around that, I think it's going to help people stick it out in the city longer, and, hopefully give them the strength they need to, push all the way, to the finish line.
And your demographics, so let's go over that. Is it a lot of people from the Midwest coming over, East Coast? Is it global? Do you have a lot of international people coming into Hollywood?
Yeah, so it's definitely global. We love all the international people, Egypt, Germany, Paris, every country you can imagine, people who've been lucky enough to, get an artist visa, or they're just here, for 3 months on a tourist visa, but trying their foot out in Hollywood. But, that gives it a very, international feel and flavor. Probably maybe I'd say 15% or 20% are international. And then, just the rest of the country. And, that is, that's the exciting thing, but also the unique challenge. If you were, if you grew up in, San Francisco and you're moving to LA, your worldview and experience is a lot different from someone that grew up in Texas or Oklahoma. And, now you're living under, a roof together, and, sharing, you grow up with very different values and perspectives, and all of that comes together. And, luckily we have, we call them our house managers, or, they're really like RAs, our house moms, our house dads. And, they're really the, what they're there for conflict resolution and whatnot, but really, their shoulder to cry on when, you had a bad day. And they're sort of responsible for, shaping the unique dynamic of that each house has, because, it's not that there's necessarily an upstart, lifestyle or, dynamic that we're pushing on all the houses, but, it just sort of, each property organically has its own feel, its own flavor, its own values. And those RAs really, sort of help craft that.
And do they live rent free? Do they live on site? or at a
Yeah, yeah.
discounted rate, and they
Yeah,
just
so
kind of help you
yeah,
manage
so
it?
exactly. They do it for you know, the rent free. They're not professionals by any means. You know, they're just young leaders who, you know, like community building, but they're, you know, they're facing the same struggles you are. You know, we try to pick people and hire people that are, you know, doing outstanding in their own careers, so they're sort of an example to everyone else, and people with really hard work ethics and everything. You know, one of the traps people can fall in, you know, moving to LA is, you know, it's a very fun environment to live in, and so all of a sudden people can forget, oh, wait a second, I came here to act, not just hang out with a bunch of young cool people. So you know, we try to get the RAs to really push people, you know, out of their comfort zone, and you know, really help remind people, you know, why they came to the city in the first place.
And then what age demographic is like your average?
Yeah, so I mean, 18 to 25 probably compose, you know, 90% of our members. You know, we don't have a strict age cutoff, or you know, we don't have any rules about age, but you know, it's a relatively self-selecting, you know, people who come in and apply. You know, we definitely have, you know, some older people too. You know, especially, you know, international people and stuff like that, you know, who are in their early 30s and whatnot. But, you know, it's definitely, you know, the majority of the crowd is people that are, you know, just coming out of college. And this is, you know, their first shot at a career out of college, or they've decided not to go to college and pursue a creative career instead.
Nice. And then what's the average stay for most residents and guests?
It's about 6 months. So, you know, our minimum stay is 1 month. You know, we don't require a lease or anything like that. The idea was we didn't want to lock our members into you know, a lease for a year when you could book a role in New York and, you know, basically need to, you know, leave and, you know, after 2 months in the city. You know, ideally your career takes off immediately and you're jet setting around the entire world. But, you know, 6 months is the average stay, and 6 months is sort of the perfect stay. We don't, you know, we don't bill ourselves as a place to stay for, you know, 2 years by any means. You know, it can be overwhelming to, you know, be living with so many people. But you know, it's a perfect place to come when you're in a new city. You know, we find 6 months to be the perfect stay. You come in and, you know, you basically, you know, you're going to establish your social network that you're going to have for, you know, hopefully years and years to come. You know, people have, you know, gotten married, countless relationships develop, countless collaborations. You know, people move in, and you know, then 5 of them end up, you know, getting an apartment together somewhere else after 6 months. So, you know, it's the perfect landing pad in Los Angeles.
I love that. And it sounds like, so the majority of your homes, it's usually roughly like 30 people total per house,
Um,
roughly?
so, I mean, it varies. You know, our biggest location is a, you know, giant campus with, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structures and 150 people on it.
Oh
So,
my
you know,
gosh, that's awesome.
they're, you know, it just varies location by location.
Nice. That's awesome. And I think you're right. I think 6 months is such a perfect time to be in a new city, to establish connections, relationships, and then, you know, move on from there.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And then, so where do you see, so 2 year, I mean, you've had amazing growth. So you've, you know, 300 within 2 years. That's a lot of
Yeah.
people. And you guys are looking to expand to like 1,000 in the
Yeah.
LA area.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, hopefully over the next, you know, probably 18 months to 2 years, we'll hit 1,000 people in LA. But then simultaneously try to open locations in, you know, other West Coast cities, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, everything like that.
No, that's good. And then people can then jump around to different cities, right? You know,
Yeah.
because of that network. So where, you know, where do you guys see, oh, let me ask you this question then. Well, it's a 1 month minimum. So yeah, they're just paying, they pay month by month, right? They
Yeah.
don't pay nightly, weekly, it's just month to month.
Yeah.
And no, so do you guys have security deposit?
I mean, a nominal, a $200 deposit. We call it a good member deposit, but it has nothing to do with wear and tear. You just have to give us 2 weeks notice that you're going to move out in order to get that back, basically.
Yeah, no, and that was, when we first talked a month ago, that's what really stood out to me. I go, this is really cool that you're giving opportunity for these kids to come over, 18, 25 years old with $1,000 in their pocket to move, that they can move to LA that way. Right. And I love, that's a really cool way of just distilling down like what you guys are doing, with people in the creative industries. So my last question is for co-living for the industry as a whole. And again, you've been in it for 2 years already. Your background's in property management and real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see this going in the future for co-living as an industry?
Oh, I mean, it's about to blow up. I know there's, at least 2 or 3 other, sort of startups that are raising venture capital right now to grow. In the next 2 years, I probably expect, at least 2 more big, big players in Los Angeles. And ultimately it's going to, legitimize the entire industry, which is really exciting. What we've found, the bigger we get, the longer the waiting list is, the easier it is to fill. And so, the more, the co-living operators that come into the market, and the bigger the market's going to get. So it's really exciting.
Oh, good. No, I have the exact same, Star City just opened in Venice Beach. And my friends were like, oh, are you worried? I go, absolutely not. Like, this is amazing because it just expands an industry and a word that, still not everybody knows. When I say the word co-living, they're like, what does that even mean? So the more co-living concepts there are, the more the word will get out. And no, I think it's fabulous. It's amazing. So I'm glad you feel the same. And you guys have a waiting list currently?
Yeah. So, we have way more applications than we can accept every single month. We probably accept 1 out of every about 6 applications that we get.
Nice. Hey, that's a good problem to have, right? Yeah. And I love how you guys take the time to look at their social media profiles and, just kind of see what exactly they're all about. Do you guys still have the applications? Are they still kind of essay-based applications? Yeah. Is it the same app? Okay.
Yeah.
So you can really learn, what they're about and who because again, you do need to curate the right people to create the right environment, right? You can't just let everybody in.
I mean, that's what I think we really do differently than some other operators is that curation based on the social group that we would want to have when we're 22. And, we're relatively young. My partner, Sarah, she's 26 and she does all the admissions. And so, it's not like, some old, rich real estate developer that's, trying to, how do I build community? It's, we have, very genuine experiences that inform everything that we do. And that's, sort of the philosophy we're building Upstart with.
Yeah. Did you ever live at one of the locations? Do you guys live there now or do you live close by?
Yeah, let's see, in January, I moved in for a month. And then my partner, Sarah, co-founder Sarah, she moved into a different location for a month. And, it was awesome. Lived in a pod and, it was an awesome experience. It's a little, there's always sort of a disconnect, just because I'm the, person that owns it and created it. But, everyone was super welcoming and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's really cool. I love hearing that. That's awesome. Yeah. Because you're right. You still have to be a little removed to be able to, when you're the owner and you're there, it's like you're living in your business every day. So, but at the same time, that's really super cool. Well, Jeremiah, thank you so much. I know you're super busy and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview. Everybody obviously check out Upstart. In the Hollywood area. Congrats on all your fast growth. I can't wait to see, what the future brings for you and right here in LA. So love hearing about it.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.